Hi guys, how's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining me here on the baseline. Now, does it feel like the dream of owning a home keeps drifting a bit further away? And yet every time you get close, there's some other kind of trap waiting, right? Rising rates, shrinking inventory, and now even the home inspection has become a battlefield. Now, I don't know if you can sense where this is going, but in 2025, what used to be a $500 safeguard is turning into a $30,000 gamble. And today, what we're going to try to do is break down the 10 hidden home inspection deal breakers and what they really reveal about how the housing system quietly rigs the game against regular buyers. Now, according to Redfin, inventory is still down about, I think, 18% year over year. And Freddie Mac says the 30-year fixed hovers, near about 7%. And insurers across Florida, Texas, and California have dropped nearly 100, you heard that, 100,000 policies this year alone. So what can we read into that? What's the translations? Sellers hold power and buyers are feeling some pressure. And inspections, the last line of defense, are where deals are going to die. Now, if you're stepping into this market, you need to know exactly when to walk, when to negotiate, and when to run like crazy, right? Because this crash, the real estate, a lot of people say it's already started, but just not where you're looking maybe. Because it's not necessarily a price crash, right? It's an inspection crash where ignored foundations, aging roofs, and hidden mold become the new subprime mortgages, ticking time bombs, hitting under an as-is listing. So let's get right into it, guys. Let's start with deal breaker number one, okay? And we're going to start underground. And I mean literally underground, because foundation issues, those horizontal or stair-step cracks, they aren't character. They're warning signs. So when soil pushes, walls bow, and sellers kind of just shrug, but the real cost can hit up to $40,000 plus. And yet some listing agents still whisper, oh, it's just settling. I mean, settling. That's what civilizations do before they collapse, right? And if the seller won't bring in a licensed structural engineer, you got to walk. And it's hard because there's emotions involved, but you got to do it because you can fix drywall, but you can't fix denial, right? Here's deal breaker number two. Number two is this: it's roofs at the end of their life. It's the quiet assassin of home ownership. Your insurer might happily write your policy today and then cancel it the moment they see a 20-year-old shingle. I mean, you think you bought a home, but what you really bought was a short-term rental owned by your insurance company. And it gets nuts, right? Because the replacement cost for roofs can go $12,000 to north of $20,000. And if the seller won't credit you or drop that price, you got to wave goodbye, preferably under some dry ceiling, right? So that moves us to number three, which is the HVAC. Okay, so next up, HVAC, another trap. In a world where everything's subscription-based, I mean, your furnace has basically joined Netflix. It works until it doesn't. And when it quits, it demands a premium plan, which is $8,000 to $10,000. If the system's older than your Spotify playlist, guys, ask for service records. And if the seller won't share them, that's your sign that you're not buying a home. You're inheriting their neglect. So careful out there when you're dealing with this. Okay, deal breaker number four. And this goes into electrical stuff, right? So outdated electrical panels specifically, right? These were built, some of these panels, they were built when disco was hot and aluminum wiring was innovation. They're also a literal fire hazard. And if an inspector flags Federal Pacific or knob and tube wiring, don't let anyone guilt trip you with all this stuff. You know, sometimes people say, oh, it's worked fine for 40 years. I mean, so did Blockbuster Video until streaming burned it all down. So careful out there with electrical panels. Now, deal breaker number 5 goes into sewage, right? The sewer scope is a great way to go about checking it. It costs $300, but it could save you $15,000 because Roots don't care about your mortgage pre-approval. And yet 9 out of 10 buyers skip it just to stay competitive. But you got to ask yourself, competitive with who? I mean, the plumbers? Because if your inspector offers the camera test, say yes, because that footage could be the only movie this year that saves you a bunch of money. So careful with the sewage stuff and get that scope. It's important. Deal breaker number 6 is water and mold. And you guys have heard this before, I know. But mold and water intrusion, it can turn crazy. And here's the truth. Water is the patient investor of real estate. It buys equity slowly, one drip at a time. And if your inspector's thermal camera lights turn blue behind basement walls, that's not character. That's decay on layaway. So careful with that. Walk away from that. Or make the seller prove with receipts that remediation was done by licensed professionals, not a cousin with bleach. So people are crazy. Be careful out there. Deal breaker number 7, termites. And this deal breaker 7 and termites, it's an important one, right? Because if the house has good bones, so to speak, termites heard that too. And active infestation means you're buying a protein shake for insects. Now, a few historic nibble marks, I think that's fine. Most people would probably agree with that. But active colonies chewing rafters, don't do it. You can evict tenants. You can't negotiate with those dang termites. So that will take us to deal breaker number 8, which is environmental hazards, asbestos and radon, 2 invisible ways that past haunts the present. Asbestos removal runs thousands, and radon, that odorless gas seeping from bedrock, is still showing high readings across Northeast this year. I mean, mitigation costs $2,000 to $3,000. And if a seller refuses to install a system, remember, you can paint walls, but not air. Deal breaker number 9, decommissioned oil tanks. So underground oil tanks, these can be hairy, right? Because these are the ghosts of mid-century heating, and they leak more often than politicians. Even decommissioned tanks can contaminate soil beneath the test layer. Now, if a seller says, we filled it with sand, I mean, it's fine, but that's like saying we've deleted the virus, but kept the laptop. So if they won't remove it, you have to walk away from that too. Because you're not just protecting your wallet here. You're protecting your future resale. Now, deal breaker number 10 is septic. And finally, the septic conversation has to come up, because if every buyer's nightmare, it should be at least, it should be every buyer's nightmare, and most sellers, sometimes they just shrug and try to blow over it. But sometimes, or some towns, force repairs. Others look away. That inconsistency is the system's secret weapon. It privatizes risks while pretending to regulate it. Now, an average replacement is $25,000 to $30,000. And if the seller refuses, you got to remember, it's not your job to clean up the mess, literally or economically. Now, I know this list sounds a bit heavy, right? But here's the power in it. Knowledge gives you the power to negotiate. Knowledge is a form of negotiation. And every deal breaker you spot before closing isn't a loss, it's leverage. It proves that you can't outspend this market, but you can outthink it. Because while Wall Street keeps buying homes in bulk, your greatest edge is seeing what they overlook: the foundation, the wiring, and the truth. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the baseline. I hope this list helps you guys. Let me know if you think I should add some more or if some of those aren't such a big deal. I look forward to your comments. Put them in the section below, and we'll catch you in the next round of the baseline. All right, cheers, everybody.